Hi, my name is Alberto Burgos Jr., and I decided to do my Kirko research on asthma, in particular exercise-induced asthma. So the question I posed was, how are individuals that suffer from exercise-induced asthma impacted by the environments they participate in? And excuse my voice, I'm a little sick. But I chose this form of research because of the fact that I myself deal with asthma and exercise-induced asthma, and I've been partaking in sports just about my whole entire life. So I've dealt with asthma in about a couple different environments: baseball, basketball, and soccer. And I wanted to go into a little more depth about how these environments had an effect on exercise-induced asthma. And that's kind of where I took my research. So I kind of wanted to see the difference in temperature levels, um, humidity levels, moisture levels, air quality, and the overall significance of indoor to outdoor activities. And the findings of my research showed that environments with a high humidity, high levels of moisture, cooler temperatures, and drier air resulted in the onset of exercise-induced asthma in individuals faster than other environments. Most of these studies partook in places like indoor swimming facilities, gymnasiums, and I had one with an outdoor, or not an outdoor, in a skiing mountain. And with the skiing mountain, Ericsson partook the study at the Swedish National Elite Sports School for Skiing, in which the skiers were 8% more prevalent with physician-diagnosed asthma than a random control group of about 240 adolescents. And this was a result of them constantly being in cold and dry air. So Paving kind of sought out the connection between swimmers in these swimming holes that had to spend about 12 hours minimum with competition and practice and their exercise-induced asthma. So being with the constant exposure of moisture and the airborne trichloramine, after about 130 pulmonary exams, 21 showed airway obstruction and 12 had physician-diagnosed asthma and medication already before the study. So Silva implemented a study in which 7 asthmatics partook in a gymnasium where they would change the temperatures. So one of the temperatures they had was low humidity, low temp, and or the environment's microphone. Low humidity, low temperature, and the other one was a high humidity, high temperature, just to see which environment would trigger the onset of exercise-induced asthma faster. And the low temperature and low humidity ended up showing a 15% decrease in forced exhalation volume due to the constriction of the airways. So you can see through that their exercise-induced asthma tended to flare a lot faster than the high temperature and high humidity environment. So now that we can kind of recognize how prevalent asthma is, I kind of want to go into treatment and kind of a little more future work. So we're all aware of something like albuterol or ProAir, something you kind of like puff 15 to 20 minutes before you partake in an activity, kind of to release you of any constriction in the airways. But with research done on that is that after a lot of usage of ProAir, you kind of develop a tolerance to it. So as you develop a tolerance, it becomes less effective. So I kind of want to go into studies how often you can kind of use it to its maximum effectiveness before it continues to downgrade and downgrade and downgrade. And another thing I kind of want to look into is the effects of like long acting um, beta agonist, something like albuterol sulfate. So kind of implementing albuterol sulfate into individuals who participate in this sport very frequently. So kind of going into a swimmer preseason where she has to have 4 weeks of the albuterol sulfate and then her airways tend to clear up. But something we can kind of do for a clinical setting is making sure you're implementing a 15-minute cool down and a 15-minute warm up so that you're not kind of jumping up to the same exact intensity. So you don't want to go 0 to 100 because that could trigger the exercise induced asthma. So all in all, I kind of want to shift focus into how prevalent asthma is and how we need to combat it. But education is a good way to combat it. And not only do we have to educate our people on it, but identifying risk factors for them can not only prevent the onset, but treat it as well. Because I feel prevention is treatment. And I feel that is the most important way to go about it so we can curb the constant growth of asthma, as it has jumped an entire percent in about 7 years. And the seven entire percent is about 5 million people. So overall, I feel like if we do that, participation in sports will likely increase, and overall quality of life for people who suffer from asthma will increase as well. So thank you for listening to my Kirk research project, and have a good day.